Welcome everybody to another episode of Hall's Garage. Today we'll be doing part 2 of the QA1 suspension install on my dad's 1970 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. We've got all of these parts here, so let's start throwing them on. So and by we I mean my dad, just finished up painting the frame and a lot of the additional hardware, so like the spindle and the caliper bracket. And that's all been pour 15, so it's all like smooth as glass. And should be somewhat protected from rust for the foreseeable future, which is nice. If that stuff sits on a shelf for a while, it's a pain to stir. Also, make sure you have separate brushes because when it dries, it's rock hard. So you're not reusing any sort of materials when you're playing with this stuff. But anyway, so I guess the first thing we're going to do probably is going to be the upper and lower control arms. We've got the shims that came off of it. They're got to be put back in the correct orientation. That way it maintains the geometry of all of the suspension and we keep our alignment, which is good. That's what you want. You want the car to go straight when you want it to go straight. But yeah, let's start by putting all that on. So are these also sided? I would assume not. It doesn't say anywhere driver's side. It just says upper control arms.
All right, here. Holy smokes. Hey, there we go. All right.
Okay. And then we need shims.
Front nut, back shims.
Oh yeah, there weren't front shims for this one. Alrighty. Upper control arm. Oh, no, we didn't put the steering box back on, right? Or the steering bracket?
It's on by one bolt.
Okay. Apparently there's a washer that goes on that.
Why is it so difficult?
Probably because it wasn't supposed to be bent this much to go on.
Yeah.
Whoops. I need to pull the thing towards me, so you need to go up.
Oops, what was that?
That was the washer that I just said that I needed to remember was there. There we go.
Oh, wow. Oh, that went in good. So kick the back out. Perfect.
And then sandwich?
Yep.
All right.
Ah.
I got it.
Why do these have to be so difficult?
Cross thread's better than no thread. There we go. I got it. At least I got the rear.
Should put washers in between the nut and the assembly.
Did you say there's 2 bags of these?
Right, so there's one for the right and there's one for the left.
Okay. So there's these 2 are the only ones that I think would probably be the most fitting. Here I am with the glove in my lap, not using it.
Do you want to connect the steering shift?
That's what I'm doing. While we're here, might as well.
And we're sure we have it in the right position?
Nope. But we won't smoke these down. We'll just get them on until we can put the wheels on. These are easy enough to get to.
All right.
Bump stop works. It does in fact bump and stop.
All right.
So lower control arm now. LCA. I love TLAs.
TLA.
3-letter acronyms. I think all the Zerks fittings should be relatively easy to get to.
They're supposed to be.
Yeah, nothing is worse than something that's designed to be serviceable that isn't.
Do you need a light?
I need this to go in. What in the world? How are you supposed to do this?
Just put a little bit like on there and help slide it right up in, hopefully.
How did we do this with the rear control arms? Didn't we drive like a screwdriver through or something?
Yes.
Hey, there's a bolt.
There's 2 different sizes. There's 2 of a long one and 1 of a short one.
Almost there.
We could probably maybe just throw a ratchet on it.
Probably, or we could not. Yeah, let me just get you a ratchet.
So maybe if we had a screwdriver, we'd put it in here on this side. That would straighten out the geometry.
So. Well, I guess there's 3 bolts. Yeah, that would make sense. Let me just throw this and this on. I won't tighten it down because we probably need to move this.
The nylon lock washers on them.
Nylock. So yeah, you can't thread them on by hand even if you wanted to.
You have the washer on that one?
Yeah. Oh, the washer's on the other one too, right?
Yes.
Thank God.
Wow. Break the tip. Whoops.
Oh, now you got a sharp flathead. Oh, you know what probably would have been smart? If we had used the screwdriver in conjunction with the wiggle. What's left of the screwdriver. This side, honestly, almost looks perfectly lined. Oh, wait, I got an idea. Where's that other bolt? What if we drive this one in on this side and then punched it out with the correct bolt? Which way does it? Well, hold on. No. Whatever you just did. That's where you want to go. Just do it. Sweet.
All right. So just put the nut and the thing on that one, but leave it loose.
No nuts. Denied. Oh, uh-oh. Well, I'm glad that wasn't my finger. It's really not good. That's why you wear gloves. There we go. Yeah. Brand new suspension. Spend 3 hours doing lower control. I mean, the rear was just as bad. If not, well, it was probably worse, actually.
Achievement unlocked.
Blood and sweat. Or achievement unlocked, sweat. No blood, no tears yet.
$80 foot-pounds. But they say it should not be torqued until after the installation is complete and the vehicle is at ride height.
This apparently takes a lot longer than it should. Probably save the batteries on that light. Okay. Ha. Get wrecked. Okay. We're back. It's been a minute. It's been several weeks, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to, the other side's done. That's how long it's been. The only real change on this side is the tie rod is now gone, and we have new tie rods that my dad already set up, so they're about the same length as the original tie rod. So that should save me some time in setting those up correctly. But next steps for us are we need to prep the coilover so that we have the actual correct mount on the bottom, because they come from the factory with the mount for the stock setup, which is what this looks like. The new, or the setup, not the, I guess the new setup, for this lower control arm has a different style of bearing, I guess. And to set this up, we have to pull all this out. So we got to take off the snap ring, cut this bushing, or take off the snap ring, push out the rod, then cut the bushing, pull the bushing out, and then we can put in the new bearing with its associated hardware. And then we can start with getting springs and getting our plates on. We did get, that's the other new part that we got some, I say we, my dad. I haven't spent $1 on this. This is all for fun for me. This poor man has to watch me put his car back together all wrong. But we have thrust bearings. Basically what these are designed to do is make it easy to rotate an object despite massive, I guess these are axial forces as opposed to translational forces. So despite pushing down on this really hard, like a coil spring will do, this will still rotate, and that allows the coil spring that sits on the actual shock itself to rotate as the car is driving, and it helps with wear, and it helps the car do car things and not break. So that's where we're at. So without further ado, let's get started here.
This is what they give you.
Oh, from out of the box. It's just just a washer.
Yeah, and then they tell you, they say only put anti-seize on one side of this.
That way, when you go to buy the thrust bearings later, it's seized to whatever this piece is. You got to buy a new one of those. Let's try and mess with this here. How did you get this off?
330.
Oh. Okay. These things are way too big.
They could just wreck it.
Yeah. Come on.
You want to try these?
I'm gonna snap. Look at this. I'm gonna snap the metal in half. My goodness. This is why you buy the correct tools. But why do that when you can instead struggle and fight until this thing decides it wants to cooperate? I don't want to mess up the nice aluminum. Well, I guess we're not reusing that part, so it doesn't matter. My mechanical sympathy is making this very difficult. Neat. Luckily, we don't need to reuse these. We just need them off. And off they will come, whether they want to or not. There we go. So now that that's done, I've got to pound the actual shaft through. Alright, hammer time. Neat. By the way, I did snap that snap ring.
Don't need it.
Garbage. Oh, nope, need that. Box cutter. That's one notch. I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to just cut a groove and then fold that in so that I can get down to it. Alrighty. Another notch. Oh, I see. There it goes. Okay. Punch this out.
I was going to say, say. I see 100 things wrong with this.
It's fine. If it works, is it really a dumb idea? That's good. Deleted. If the name of the game is efficiency, we have lost. It's now the following day. Okay, what exactly am I doing here? I need to put in these bearings. And then these are held in with those snap rings, if I remember correctly. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And then we actually have your snap ring pliers.
So to get that in, you need it to compress, to squeeze together.
Oh, it goes in the inside. Ah, I see. Okay. There we go. Let's do that on the other side. Yeah, definitely fishing the back end of the snap ring in first is the way to do it, because then it just pops right in. So that's done.
The shock has 18 settings.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So put that right in the middle at 9. The
Percent of
less clicks, the softer the ride. The more clicks, the firmer the ride.
Okay, and we're doing this track ready, so we should do this like 15 clicks, you
Yes.
think? All the way?
Yes.
All the way up?
Some anti-seize on there.
Yeah.
So anti-seize around here, I would go up maybe about 2 inches, probably about that high.
It's like a third of the way up. If it's not solid anti-seize, is the anti-seize even doing anything? I've given up on avoiding the anti-seize. Yeah, Thanos got nothing on anti-seize. Inevitability is this. Am I allowed to say that? Is Disney going to come after me now? So I guess trivia lesson. Don't actually fill the threads with anti-seize. It makes a mess. Go figure. Okay, whatever. Sure, good enough. One more. I think that one's fine for right now. Okay, and then this is the nut for it, right? Or the bolt nut.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? It's one washer on one side and one on the other, right?
Yep.
That was easy. What's the torque spec on this?
50.
That was a lot.
So the smaller diameter, so you have a large diameter
Mhm.
and a smaller diameter. So the smaller diameter goes where it contacts the frame.
Ooh. Oh, I thought this was going to be easier to see from the top. There we go.
You would think.
You would think. That looks good. Made in the US of A.
Yes.
Thrust bearing is doing thrust bearing things. That's convenient. Thicker nut on first, and then that's probably what, a 9/16? Because I have to tighten that down until it squishes the bushing just out of the cup. Sweet. And then tighten that down a little bit. Okay. So now that that's on, now we do wheel hardware.
So now is spindle time.
I just need the castle nuts and the. Do they give? Am I supposed to put 2 washers on?
The extra washers are needed, different size studs for the cop bolts where the shims go in.
I see. 55, and the smaller castle nut on top. There we go. Bottom one's gonna be bad.
So one goes up and the other one goes around. Like they say, I would rather over tighten it because that tiny little cotter pin is not going to save you.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit, force it. And if it breaks, it needed replacing anyway.
Exactly.
65 foot-pounds for the bottom castle nut. Yeah, it's got to go another half of a castle.
Just throw it up to like 80 or something.
Some absurd number that if we hit it, we should probably be concerned. Jeez. That looks pretty good.
Everybody has their own way of doing cotter pins.
Talk to 10 different mechanics and get 15 different answers.
You want to do the sway bar?
All right, so here's where we're at. As you can see, the spindle is in. The castle nuts and cotter pins are in, top and bottom. Coil springs in, shocks in, all that's bolted and torqued. So what we're going to do right now, oh, and the sway bar is almost in. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw some grease up in the upper and lower fittings here, as well as anywhere else that we can put it. Finish tightening down the sway bar, and then work on putting on the rest of the brake hardware. And poof, that's now done. Yeah, so backing plate, bottom bolts are done to 65 foot-pounds. The top bolt is done to 70. And the sway bar is done. Joints are greased. We also adjusted the ride height / preload a little bit. So it's matched on the other sides. I just have 6 threads showing on the bottom here. And now we go on to the tie rod and the rotor assembly that has the studs built in, and then the caliper. All right, so again, if efficiency is the name of the game, we're losing because I got to go back to my place for another week. But when I come back, we're going to the tie rod's done. So now what we have left to do is the rotor and its whole bearing assembly, which you'll see when I get back. And then the caliper with its whole assembly, because it's got O-rings that got to go in the ears, and we're reusing the original caliper bolts because they're clean and they're fine, and the new ones that we have don't fit because, yep. And then, pads and slap that on, and then you got to do a fake alignment and then bring it to an actual shop to get it aligned, but we'll get to that later. We got to get ride height done first, but before we even get to that, we'll get this done. So next time you see it will be a week from now. So yeah, see you then. So it has races but no bearings.
So they send these from the factory. The repops are they already have the races pressed.
Okay.
Comes with races. You don't need them.
Yeah, because it's already got them in there.
Right.
A good old Chinesium.
Oh, is it Chinesium?
It is Chinesium. We'll get at least 5 miles out of it. That's all it needs to go, right? To the car show? 2.5 miles there, 2.5 miles back.
That's about right.
Use an entire tank of gas.
After we put grease on both of these, use this. We'll have to get a piece of wood, and that will, you hammer it in. That's the seal.
Okay.
That we had to take out when we first took them off.
Right.
When you just screw the spindle nut on, remember? And then you just grab this and yanked it.
And that was the thing that stuck.
And this is the seal that it pops out. So that's the best way to get the rear seal out, because the bearing
Yeah.
will push it out real nicely instead of you trying to get a screwdriver under it and gouging up the race and everything else. So,
Okay.
all that aside, so the next step is we need to pack these.
So how did you scoop it out? Did you just grab it and then pack it in with your hand or your finger?
Oh, you just grab a little bit with with that hand, grab a little bit, put it on for your left hand, or you can do it the hard way.
Yes. Like that.
Right. And then kind of work it. You want it to be spinning as you work the grease in.
Oh, I see. Okay. Something that now does not want to do, probably because the grease is packed too tight. And my hands are both covered in grease.
It's easier with the back bearing. You can fit 2 fingers in there and kind of jam them in and hold it.
Yeah, it doesn't really want to turn. I mean, like, they're definitely packed. They just don't want to turn. Probably because my hands are covered in grease. Yeah, see, I'm just spinning the whole thing. I'm not actually turning the races.
Let me see it.
I think it's probably packed way too tight.
It might be okay. I think you did a pretty good job. And the grease is really in there.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You won't have to repack them for a little while.
Yeah. No, I think you did a good job. Yeah, should be good.
I guess too much is better than too little.
For the initial packing, yes. One thing you don't want to do is, like, you don't want to load up the dust cap with grease. Because what happens is if you have too much grease, it kind of comes out the end and it gets on your brakes.
Oh. Well, that's what you want, those lubricated, right?
Well,
brakes that don't slow you down. That's what it is. Okay.
So on this side of your wheel, you're going to have a seal there, so it's less likely that the grease is going to escape.
Splatter.
Yeah. There's probably people out there that'll tell you they've done that for years with no ill effect. But
well, it only needs to go wrong once.
So we'll throw a little bit in here.
Just to help seat it on the outside of the race.
Grab a piece of wood real quick.
Thank you. Do I have a hammer? I do. I have multiple hammers.
Good. And the washer.
This washer?
Mm-hmm. While rotating the wheel, tighten the spindle nut to 12 foot-pounds of torque. Is it all the way down? Yeah. Like, how close is it?
Well, the nut's touching now.
Okay, good.
It's right here.
Can you bend it back? Maybe it got tweaked when we put it on.
Yep.
It says back off one flat, basically until you can get a cotter pin.
Oh, I can get a cotter pin through here right now. Did you compress this caliper already? After
did.
the other side? Okay.
I compressed it as much as I could. We still might end up fighting with it a little bit.
Okay. Oh, it comes with the brake pads, or did you just put it?
And it comes with important break-in information.
Good.
Big ones in the back, little ones in the front. You want to make sure they're lubricated. So your outside pad is always going to be the one with the ears with the holes on it. And you see how the tabs are not contacting?
Oh, you're supposed to bend
You're
them
supposed to
down.
take channel locks and squeeze them down so they fit tightly. And then this is your back pad. And this is the one that takes the little clip. All right, I hope they fit.
Well, so far so good, ish.
So I had to use the rubber mallet.
To pound it on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
That
little
is gonna
sleeves
be-
have to be pushed all the way back if you didn't
Yeah.
figure that out.
I did. I feel like I'm running a blacksmithing shop.
It's probably not good for any of this stuff, but whatever. Get
Well-
it on there.
We'll wear in.
One of the best arguments to stick with stock.
Yeah.
Everything fits.
Yep. That doesn't even make sense. This is when you get a black screen on the YouTube video that says, "This continued for some time."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I can lube it up on that side, because the seal will just take it all off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could just pop the whole thing off again.
No. Yeah, I hope you never ever want to change these brake pads ever again.
Well, I mean, the ones that were on there lasted
20 years.
20 years.
Voila. If you're wondering what tools it takes to do this job, the answer is all of them. I think we probably touched almost every single tool in this garage trying to do this. These suck. The pads are either too thick or the rotor's too thick, so these don't really mesh well. So that's why I was beating on it with a mallet forever. But yeah, now it's done. So we got tie rods, we got brakes, we got all the bearings are in and packed, the cotter pins are in and they're good. We got brand new QA1 coilovers with the tubular upper and lower control arms, and we got our sway bar back in. So yeah, now we're going to throw the wheels back on this and try to align this thing. All right, so we're setting up for our final ride height here. I've got 12 threads showing. This is what we're going to roll with. It's probably about I'm not certain yet, but 10 threads is an inch drop from the rear. So we're hoping that this is going to be more like 3/4, half inch to 3/4 drop from the rear, which is just high enough to alleviate any worries of the wheels rubbing against the fender liner. But yeah, let's throw it down on the ground and see what it looks like. Okay, so let's see here. We're at like, I don't know, 25 3/4 in the rear, and 25 5/8 up front. So it's an eighth drop, but it also hasn't moved. So we're gonna take it to a car show tomorrow, because trial by fire, and that'll be the next time you see it, and we'll see how it looks in daylight. Alright, so we're back. Just got back from the car show. This thing rides so much better than it did. Like, it's actually amazing how well this whole car is settled now. It was terrible to drive before. But anyway, still has some adjusting left to do. We want to try and change the compression / rebound adjustment because it's a single adjustable. Shocks up front, we can probably toy with the ones in the rear too because we also have QA1 shocks and springs in the rear. No fancy other tubular stuff because don't need it. This project took way longer than I think anyone thought it would, but it was so much fun to do. I got to learn a lot about setting up suspension on these older cars, which is a lot different from setting up suspension today, and especially putting the brakes together on these older cars is a lot different than what it is today. Today it's much easier. But anyway, I know I didn't do a great job of like bringing you guys into a whole bunch of stuff. I just don't have an easy way of doing that. But I hope this was at least a little bit educational and hopefully a little bit entertaining for you as well. And yeah, I'm going to leave you guys with some shots of this thing running and pulling out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any rollers or anything like that, but I'll do my best. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time.